You're listening to Supervision with a Vision, where we discuss all things supervision. I'm your host, Sarah, professional counselor, marriage and family therapist, play therapist, eating disorder specialist, and cookie lover, with my co-host, Heather, marriage and family therapist, certified Together in Texas counselor, a Texas transplant from California, and outdoor adventurer. Hi, welcome today to Supervision with a Vision. Today, Heather and I are talking about the relationship between being bored and burnout. This week, we read Bore Out, Burnout, When to Explore and When to Exploit, published in Psychology Today 2023. That's a lot of B's.
It is a lot of B's.
It was a little tricky. Yeah. The first point in the article is that learning and novelty experiences are a must.
I would agree.
Do you think, where does that fit within being a supervisor or a supervisee or counseling?
I think there's been times, I've been doing this a long time. So, there's been times where I've just been like, okay, what's next? Like, what's next? Like, things are okay right now. Like, they're calm. And okay, so I started a private practice. And 3 years in, I was like, okay, what if I became a supervisor? And then like 3 years in, I was like, and then what do I do? Like, just searching for like the next thing. But I don't know that I ever identified it as boredom. Yeah. I think I was just like, my brain was craving like
just ready for the next
else.
thing.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that you said 3 years, because there are a lot of statistics that show that counselors about 3 to 7 years in start to make a change.
Right.
Whatever the change can look different, but they start to make either a change in the setting that they work in,
sure,
or the type of client they see, or there's the reason there are statistics on this is because there's a really big number of counselors who leave the profession.
After
about 3, 5, 7 years in to do something that might be similar to counseling, but isn't exactly counseling. So our brains are looking for this. Our brains are looking
for something to grab.
Yeah. Before we started recording, I was telling you that this week I had lunch with an old supervisee, and I didn't even think about it, but she and I actually talked about this when we saw each other, and we were asking each other, do you see yourself being a counselor the exact way that you're being a counselor right now?
Oh, yeah.
Long term.
Sure.
And I think maybe she was a little sheepish, and maybe so was I, to say, no, but I don't know what it would look like if I were doing it differently. So
I agree with that.
Like, I don't know. I don't imagine myself doing this for, 10 years more or 15 years more without it changing somehow, but neither one of us were completely sure what that change would look like or be. And I think too, we were both a little bit uncomfortable with the idea that we didn't know what it would look like, but our brains are seeking a learning opportunity or a novel experience.
Right.
What about, so that's us as supervisors, us as counselors. You and I were also talking about when this happens at home.
Sure.
What happens when someone's bored at home?
Right. I think you asked me, did anyone say, if you said you were bored, did anyone say, you must be boring then? Or something?
I think I've heard kid clients, or teenager clients come in and say, if I say at home I'm bored, my parents say boring people are bored.
Yeah. I had a little sign that was on our fridge for a while when my kids were pretty little, that would spell out bored, and then it had different things on each letter, and it was being creative, outside play, read a book, exercise, and then do something helpful. And it was
is that an acronym?
Yeah, that's right.
I think
that's right. Yeah. But it was just a way to get them to like kind of almost, I was looking for them to self-regulate so they didn't come to me. And it was something I used in the summertime when they did have more time at home, things like that.
Well, I think that's really constructive compared to
then you're boring.
If you're boring people are bored. I think my parents said something like, if you're bored, I can help you find something to do.
And you're like, no.
Was something that I wanted to do. So that was like a way to tell me, go entertain yourself somehow. Did it work? Did your kids do it?
I think one of my kids in particular from that would always choose reading. And truly, I don't think that they, to this day, would admit that they like reading. But they often get lost in a book pretty easily. So I think it's like something that's like, oh, okay.
So
Like,
that was a
what do I
good little
do? Like,
sign.
yeah.
It was like a little
Okay.
reminder for them.
Yeah.
I'm
Right. And
don't know what to do with myself.
right. And then I would have a
Okay.
kid that would say, well, what could I do that would be helpful? And I would be like,
Oh,
okay, I could totally use this right now to my advantage, but I would usually give them something else to do for a sibling or get like,
oh,
so
yeah.
it kind of like promoted something togetherness. But yeah, I think that,
So, I mean, really, all of them used it in a
yeah,
productive
in a
way.
productive way.
Hmm.
But I also think summers used to scare me with three
Mm-hmm.
kids at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have like Tuesday we go to the pool, Wednesday we're going to a new park. Thursday we're like I had something we were
Really
doing
structured.
every day because it kept me calm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so when they were bored, it meant that you're not actually bored. You're just at home now and you don't know what to do with yourself.
You're
Like go
still,
figure something
yeah.
else out.
Well, but maybe that was also you having
Sure.
novel experiences in the
I
summer.
needed it.
I mean, if yeah. How do you do that? So we talked about as a supervisor, and maybe as long-term view of ourselves as a counselor. But do you week to week or day to day have times when you're bored as a counselor?
Um I don't know that I'm very bored lately. I have a pretty diverse clientele like
Well,
right
so
now.
maybe that's something you
So
do
that's
for
something I
yourself.
do for myself, I think, that I'm
Hmm.
not. But when I get bored, I start exploring like, okay, so what's the next thing I want to learn about? Like I don't think that cognitively. I just start
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah.
I just
True. I think I do that too. Like I look forward to trainings or
sure.
conferences for
Mm-hmm.
that purpose. It gets
Right.
me excited. It gets me thinking about something new
Right.
or different. I think it also has not happened to me for a while now, but if I had kind of a lull or a moment, I would definitely think I'm going to pick up a book that I've been meaning to
Oh,
read.
sure. I have like 7 books that I've
Right.
ordered at some point in time in the
Right.
last few years that I'm like, oh, I need to actually read
Yeah,
that.
relate something related to counseling
Right.
and that I certainly would then start to incorporate or use
Sure.
somehow, but I think that's how I might
Yeah.
include that. Um, I also think that on purpose, I'm thoughtful of what types of clients I take on.
Mm-hmm.
That if I'm feeling, I'll start to feel it before I really have words or thoughts for it. But maybe if I have too many of one type of client right now, it starts
100%
to feel
agree.
like kind of out of balance, and
Yep.
I'll start to think, oh, I need some a
Something different.
difference. Yeah.
Yep. Something
Um,
to challenge your brain.
mhm. Okay, the next point in the article is stay. It's a question.
Right.
Stay in your comfort zone or venture out. So I think this is step one. We need learning and
Mm-hmm.
novel experiences.
Right.
And if you realize you're not having that, do you stay where you're comfortable or do you start to go
Like
like look
venture
for
out.
other
Yeah.
things?
So I think I have a very like reciprocal relationship with both those because
Hmm.
it's a lot dependent on what I have going on outside of work. So
Yes.
sometimes staying in my comfort zone and just doing my job, going in and out of the office multiple times a week is very simple and calm and nice. But then I think when I do get like, oh, I need something more, venturing out is pretty easy to do as a counselor. There's so
Hmm.
much
Hmm.
information for us to learn and acquire. There's so many different things we could be doing with our time. If
Hmm.
it's not seeing clients, there's
Yeah.
other things to be.
I don't know why the picture in my head when you're describing that is that after school crash that kindergartners have.
Right?
You know, like they're working
Right.
so hard during the day on learning all the things that kindergartners are learning
Hmm.
that the second you get them into their car seat, they're
Right. They're
just
like
like
clunk.
drooling and
Right.
like,
Right.
their little snack is like falling
Halfway out
out
the
of, yeah.
window. Yep.
That, yeah, if you're all these other areas of your life, you're
Hmm.
learning something new or working hard or there's a new experience that you're
Right.
having, then yeah, maybe there's a different part of your life that just is the comfort zone
Right.
for a
It's so
while.
simple and makes it easy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I was actually, I mean, I was kind of thinking, what is an example of a time where you would say, like, recommend or choose to stay in the comfort zone? But that makes sense.
Yeah.
As a counselor, can you think of a time where there's a counseling situation where you would think, okay, then in other parts of my life, I'm going to choose to be in the comfort zone right now.
Yeah. I think when I've had really intense case, maybe you're dealing with something like
Hmm.
domestic violence or child abuse or like things that are taking up a lot of your work brain, that I will be very intentional about cuddling up with a book and purposely like, oh, I'll be on the couch for 2 hours tonight. Like
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to do that to balance out kind of like what your brain
Yeah.
especially in times of stress, I find myself, I go to that more. Like I go to, oh, I'm going to go take a walk and make myself not be in this office. And I will put in a podcast of something funny, something light that won't let me think about work.
Right.
So
I'm thinking about two different supervisees I had where I realized, maybe not right away, but over time realized that they needed a little comfort zone and they weren't allowing themselves to have it. I had one supervisee, I didn't realize this was her goal. I don't know how long she did it before she said out loud that it was her goal to go to, I can't remember the number, but it felt like a big number, maybe 5 continuing education hours per week.
Whoa. What?
It was
That's a lot.
It felt like a big number.
Right.
And what it meant for her in her life, like outside of counseling, and then seeing clients and trying to get in all this training, it was just overwhelmed.
Right.
Like I don't know how much of the training she was actually able to absorb or incorporate because it was just so much. But I also think that all of the good work she was doing with clients, she was already getting a lot. She was already learning a lot. There's already a lot of novelty and learning happening. That then it was just too much.
It was too much of stimulation.
I did not convince her to quit doing that, but I did convince her to dial it back a little bit.
Right. Let's make it look different.
Right. And I think I mean the best probably I convinced her to do was like 1 hour of continuing education per week. But even then I was telling her, like, you're learning so much.
Right.
It's okay if you don't.
You know what? As we're talking, I'm wondering, we're talking about new supervisees that are coming in. Maybe her comfort zone is school. She'd been doing school and learning so much.
I do agree. She and I did talk about that actually. That I think that it helped her to feel confident.
Yeah. And
maybe was uncomfortable to not be doing it. But
it's interesting.
Finding a balance. Yeah. I'm remembering, think about how many supervisees you've had where the setting they're in might be expecting or asking them to take on really challenging clients.
Oh, sure. Right.
And maybe that's too much. That it's reasonable not to venture out to that quite yet.
Right.
Until you have some foundational experience of being a counselor. Right. That, if you're going to go into the old supervisee who's now off supervising people that I saw this week, she works with high conflict divorce.
Okay.
If you did that right out of the gate, it would be really challenging. Right. That you're right now you're learning to manage a session.
Sure.
Just deal with parents who aren't high conflict.
Right.
But might be challenging.
Right. They don't want to listen or don't want to do. Yeah.
That's already a challenge.
Right.
But then to add the added layer of a challenging situation might be more than is reasonable.
But she's loving that work, and
she is. Yeah. I don't know if she joined us for an episode, I feel like she would say that she worked up to that point where she felt like she was confident and comfortable with an intense situation.
Sure.
The last point in our article is our brains need exploration and experiences. So our brains are searching for that. Do you think that's true?
I do. I think we can see it at all stages of being a counselor. At the very beginning, brand new, we're taking in managing a session, like the actual contact with a client, right? And you'd been fed for however long your grad program was, either 1.5 to 3 years of book knowledge with a little bit of like, this is what it's like in the counseling room. But then you're launched into doing counseling and you're face to face and your brain has to switch to do something different and be in a session and manage. And then I think you could look 10 years in and you could be like, okay, well, I feel established and these are the kind of clients I see and this is what I do. But I do think your brain is always looking for that client said this strange thing and I don't know what that is. Or I have to research that because I don't know a lot about whatever. And sometimes it's just what comes across, like what clients bring in the room. And then sometimes I think your brain literally is like wanting something more.
Looking for something. This point makes me think that this week, my old supervisee and I and all counselors could really just be more forgiving or give more grace to ourselves. That of course, after a handful of years, we're going to be looking for something
Sure.
new or interesting or a new way to do things, that would be a good thing.
Right. That's a good thing. That
Normal.
means
Right.
you're still craving that. You still want it. Yeah.
It also makes me, I'm now thinking, flip that to thinking about supervisees. If I've had a supervisee that I've known for a long time, they need something new.
Right. Like if you've had them for a
Yeah.
couple of years, it's time to mix it up. It's
Uh-huh.
time to give them.
But in all the same ways that we already talked about,
Right.
that there might be challenges at home, there might be something
Right.
new, different that they're learning, but um, yeah, maybe I need to think about how do we make counseling and supervision the novel experience that it was in the beginning.
Right.
Now
Mm-hmm.
that we've been doing supervision for quite a while, what could that look like? What
Right.
would it, what if you were going to do that? If you had a supervisee that you'd known for a while, what would that, what could be the new thing? And where you and I work, typically, how long we probably see supervisees 2-ish
Yeah.
years before they
Two-ish.
move,
Yeah.
move
Maybe
on.
3. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that something like that could look at, like maybe for me, it would look like flipping how I normally do supervision.
Oh,
It's
fun. Yeah.
like changing it up a bit. Okay, so let me tell you about a case and what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I like
Like
that. Yeah,
giving
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
reciprocal effect, or maybe mixing it up and being surprise, we're discussing ethics, and like kind of just like not doing your standard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hi, how are you? What's your week? How's your clients? Blah blah.
Yeah.
Like just changing it up.
Okay, so changing the format just for making your brain think about
Think
it
about it.
differently.
Yeah,
Not that the format
yeah.
changes the
Talk about
content,
right.
but okay. Or on purpose changing the topic,
Sure.
saying like, surprise, today we're going to talk about
Right.
something.
I
Yeah.
mean, I try and do that occasionally with like something that pops up in the news that's mental health related.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, did you see this week this? And we may not spend the whole session on it, but because I think it's important. I have a a counselor from the past that did not like to follow any news at all, and that actually played out for her poorly in sessions because sometimes
Interesting.
people bring that in.
Yeah,
They bring
sure,
in their
sure.
thoughts or
Yeah.
whatever happened, and I asked her how she responded to that, and she said, "Well, I just told them that I don't watch TV." And I was like, "Oh." But
Yeah. That's kind of, I mean, I feel like that's a whole topic for a
yeah,
different thing, for a different episode. That,
yeah,
I mean, then you're saying I'm not connected or
right.
engaged in what's going on with you,
Or
and by choice.
right by
Yeah.
choice, and I don't want to. So
Yeah.
we had to kind of work through some of the
Yeah.
kinks of that and be like, well, it is important to have some knowledge. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to buy into
Mm-hmm.
all the news all the time. But again, maybe her brain was not craving any of that at the moment
Yeah.
and just needed to focus on being a counselor in the room and how it was.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'm definitely going to be thinking about this as I see my supervisees this coming week.
Yeah, definitely.
So in creating novelty or a new learning experience, which is needed,
Right.
we're doing it for both of us.
Right. It's benefiting both of
Right,
us for
right.
sure.
Yeah, exactly. What about, I'm thinking maybe you have a supervisee and they've been doing the same thing with you for a long time, and they've been doing the same thing as a counselor
Mm-hmm.
on their own for a long time. Might you ever encourage a supervisee to try something different,
Sure.
stretch and try a
Right.
different population, maybe go to a different setting?
Mm-hmm. I've actually done that before. I had a supervisee that only wanted to see kids under 12. And I was like, okay, cool. You're going to be a play therapist? Because I mean, that to me seems like what you would do.
Yeah.
But no, they weren't interested in being a play therapist. And I was like, okay, so tell me about what you want. And we talked about it for a while. And the location they were at, it was very set up. You had 3 sessions with a child, and then you had a session with the parents without the child, and then you had a session with 3 sessions with the child, like very.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, and she liked her work. And I was like, well, that's awesome and great. And then we started talking about like what really changes, or what are you doing in those sessions with kids, and like, would pursuing a play therapy certification be something that would give you more tools? And then she said, well, yeah, I go to all of the conferences. And I was like, so you're halfway there. Like,
Right.
you're already,
Yeah.
but there was things that she was doing that like, she was just intimidated by the idea of,
Yeah, I mean, tell me if this fits for this person, but I think I see this a lot, and I hope that I gradually break all of my supervisees of thinking this way. That wherever their setting is that they work, there are structures in place because that's the way that
Right.
agency or that organization does it. And they learn that and because that's one of the few places they've worked, that they think that's how it always works.
Right.
And so gradually helping them to see, yes, that's how they do it, but there are other ways to do it.
Correct.
And maybe that would work well for you, or maybe there's a reason other places do it differently,
Right.
and there's some benefit
Right.
to that. Do you see that as a common theme for newer counselors, that they go, oh, but
Right. But I have to do it this way. And I'm like, but you actually don't.
Right.
Like, what could it look like differently?
What was it? You said your supervisor, you did like a session with the kid, 3 sessions with the something.
So 3 sessions with a kid, a session with the caregiver, and then 3 sessions with a kid, and then the caregiver, and then 1 extra person that could be a school person or like an outside contact in the kid's life, and then back to the same thing. And so the expectation that came up in counseling a lot was that was too hard to manage like that. Like there's too many times like,
I mean, I can see the reason for that formula, but I can also see that there would be plenty of times where the family or the situation didn't exactly fit that.
Right.
And there was a need for something slightly different.
Right. And it could be more parent involvement or less. I mean, it doesn't, but because they were at an agency that had this strict protocol.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, I think here, you and I also sometimes have supervisees that their paid position isn't exactly sitting in a session with someone.
Right.
And so the way that they're learning to do counseling is
just different.
Yeah. And it might not be bad, but it's not the way that all counselors work.
Sure.
So helping them to have that experience or find an opportunity where they could have counseling in that way, so they can at least see from different vantage points what that would mean or how it could be helpful for someone.
I think pretty much what we're saying is any new experience is going to crack the boredom burnout cycle.
Well, Heather and I would love to hear about the ways that you are finding to not be bored and avoid burnout. And as always, we would love to hear suggestions for upcoming episodes. Thanks for listening today to Supervision with a Vision. You've been listening to Supervision with a Vision. Head on over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Therapy Academy to join the conversation and get show notes. We'll be back next week with more Supervision with a Vision.